You're so very welcome to this webinar. Let's start by introducing ourselves, shall we, Gül?
Definitely.
Do you want to start this time?
Yeah, I can do so.
Okay.
So, hi everyone. My name is Gül Heper-Jämterud. I'm strategy lead at the agency Oculos. We are focusing on CRM and MarTech, especially when it comes to loyalty. And I have a background of work with CX, brand, and business development for about 20 years for global brands such as Coca-Cola, Nespresso, Absolut Vodka, and also on the agency side of many different agencies. So it's a pleasure to be here today with Sabina, because we have of course, common passion and joint passion in CX.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gül. And my name is Sabina Persson. I am a co-founder and CXO of Custellence. And so Custellence is a digital tool, for those of you who don't know, a digital tool where you can work with your customer journeys and improve customer experience. So we have software as a service, and we also do coaching in these sort of questions, or with this sort of questions. My background is also within communication. That's also why I think this is pretty much fun. CRM, for instance, I've been working with for a long time before I joined Custellence in 2018. And we have a long history of creating or helping businesses create customer experience as well. Okay, and then maybe we should just take a few practical things as well before we head into the actual webinar. So we have 45 minutes, and at the end we will have questions and reflections. And you're so very welcome to, whenever question pops up, please write it into the Q&A. So it's not in the chat, but it's in the Q&A that we want to have the questions. Otherwise, we won't be able to answer them, actually, because there's no one moderating the chat. This webinar will also be recorded, so you will be able to, catch it afterwards if you need to go, or if you have a colleague that you want to show it to. It's going to be available as well. I think that's it.
Excellent. Let's dive in. And the first one is what's going to happen today during the following 45 minutes. So we, of course, are going to talk a lot about CX and the competitive advantage and the power of journey mapping, really identifying the opportunities and priorities and so on, followed by technology. What is it? Is it an enabler, or what is it really? And of course, the conclusion has to do with the measurable results and the next steps.
Yeah.
So let's get started.
Yes. So let's start with the customer experience is your competitive advantage. As I wanted to start us off by grounding us in customer experience, because it is actually crucial for every business. In a world where products and prices and design can easily be copied, so customer experience becomes a true competitive advantage. And when everything else is alike, the winner is the one who understands the customer best and can translate those insights into their products and services. Now, what is customer experience then? Let's just sort of mention that once and for all as well, so that we're on the same page here. Customer experience is the sum of all interactions a customer has with a company. It's continuous and it spans across channels and touch points. So it's not just about a single transaction or an interaction. It's the entire journey from start to finish that actually shapes how customers perceive us. So before the purchase or engagement, during, and also after, of course. Now, why should we care so much about customer experience? Let's start with some insights. Oh, let me just move that one. So there are plenty of studies, and here are a few that actually shows that 80% of customers consider the customer experience at least as important as the product itself. And we have 86% of customers that are willing to pay more, actually up to 18% for a product or a service, if it means receiving a better customer experience. And nearly 1/3 of customers would actually leave a brand they love after just one bad experience. I think I accidentally paused my my screen sharing here. I'm sorry about that. Let me see if I can share it again. Strange.
I still see
It's
it.
always going to be something with the technology. Do you guys see now? Yeah.
Yeah, we see
Okay.
it.
Cool. Right. So let's see if I can click. Yes. So customers' experience is not just a nice to have. It is business critical. And companies that focus on customer centricity, they earn more, they retain more customers, and they can attract new customers at a lower cost. There's also, studies that show this. And
the really great example, of course, is Walmart. I see some of you are from the States who are in this meeting. And so they have, the foundation is based on data, of course. They've been working with this for many, many years, and they have kind of a wonderful opportunity really work omnichannel to collect and also use the data wisely, giving them the opportunity to improve both customer satisfaction score and, of course, the monetary value. So in this case, this is actually not super fresh. It's a few years back, but still, even though it was a few years back, they were really advanced when it came to this way of working with actionable data. And at that time, they had estimated an incremental yearly revenue of $1 billion just by focusing on really providing the best customer experience.
Okay, so let's look at some statistics. How well are the organizations doing when it comes to customer experience? And I think this is a really interesting study from PwC. It's a couple of years old. It's from 2017-18. And it shows something about customer experience and really how customers perceive customer experience. So in many businesses, customer experience is framed as if it's about adding bells and whistles or something extra layered on the top, or that CX is about offering the flashiest technology or the trendiest designs. But what this study actually shows is that customers value three key factors the most, and it's speed, convenience, and knowledgeable and friendly service. So what does this tell us really? It tells us that technology should enhance, not just impress. It tells us that it's kind of basic things that you need to fix before you start with the cream on the top. So technology should enhance, like I said, and also great design and smart automation. I mean, of course, that can help, but only if basic needs like speed and accurate information are met. If these aren't met, then the other stuff kind of lose impact. So what we can say about that is that the best customer experiences are actually the ones that we hardly notice.
And I assume that many of you have already seen one of the Forrester's recent report talking about the customer experience. And what we saw was that it is unfortunately, when it comes to the basic, that we are getting worse. Just as Sabina mentioned, we want it to be effective. We want to have ease to do certain things. And of course, the emotion that a brand and a company can create, that is one of the most important things. And why is it that we are getting worse on it? Is it the current situation in the different markets, or what is it? Are we just being sales focused? Because if we look at the following slide, we see that the CX score are at an all-time low. We had a really good period going into the pandemic, but unfortunately, possibly due to the market situation as well, we are in decline. And the question is, where are we landing, or have we learned that we need to focus on it again to really differentiate and bring the both customer and business value? So this is really a surprise. So of course, this is a study based on the US, but they are in the forefront when it comes to CX most of the time. So it's a general kind of situation, and that is worrying to us.
Yeah.
And when we look at certain specific things, it's going back to the basics again, like Ms. Sabina mentioned. We have a decline when it comes to that we are not solving the problems and issues quickly enough. We are not answering the questions of the consumer, and we are not communicating, this is even worse, in a plain language. Do we know what we are buying, or have we just forgotten to communicate with our the money coming into the company? This is our consumer. This is why we're here.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good segue actually to the next section. So let's talk about the customer journey. Now, if you want to succeed with customer experience, there is a recipe, and it's not so secret either. It's basically these two things. Number one, make sure to gather the most relevant and accurate insights on how customers experience your organization, your services, and your products. And number two, make sure to implement these insights across all your customer touch points, and of course your whole product, service, communication, all that. Easier said than done, I know. Let's see. And oftentimes that requires a change of focus from an inside out perspective to an outside in perspective. And what I mean with that is that we need to go from thinking that we know what customers want to finding out what the customers truly need and develop solutions based on that. We also need to go from optimizing processes based on internal needs to optimizing processes based on what creates value for the customer. And we need to go from doing what's easiest for us, not for the customer, to designing services and products to make things easier for the customer. And change of focus might not seem that hard. It's easy to assume that we know what our customers need. You've probably heard these things being said, right? We know what our customer wants. We've been doing this for 20 years. So internally, we tend to create our own truths about how customers behave. But these are not always accurate. And that's a problem because acting on assumptions can lead us down the wrong path. So to change our focus, we need to kind of get away from this thing called confirmation bias. And that is confirmation bias can be explained like we seek and interpret and remember information that only confirms our existing beliefs. And what happens then is that we actually overlook or undervalue the information or the facts that could challenge these assumptions. And this is, I mean, we do it all the time, we're humans, so everyone does it. And sometimes it serves us well, but in this context, this can result in missing valuable customer insights and making decisions based on false premises, which is that's not a good idea. So the gold here lies in what we often overlook, these things here. And where do I want to come with this? Well, there is actually one thing we can do to stop guessing. And this is where the customer journey map plays a crucial role. Because the customer journey map helps us to see and understand the customer perspective here and how well we can meet their needs. So a customer journey map describes the customer activities and situations before, during, and after engaging with a product or a service. You might have seen them. This is one from Custellence, actually. So this is a tool that helps us understand the customer's perspective and how well we're meeting their needs. And a customer journey map can cover the entire customer experience or just focus on a specific part. But its structure, as you can see here, is designed to help us prioritize and act based on customer and business needs. So with a journey map, we can identify what the customer does and how they feel at each step of the journey. We can see how we interact with them across touch points. We can spot potential risks and pain points where we might lose the customer. And we can also ensure that our internal processes and systems, what we call the backstage within CX, can deliver the expected experience. So let's see. let me also now show you, if you think this is a good idea to, to work a little bit customer-centric. I know many of you guys probably already do a lot of this, so it might be like a repetition, but let's just go through the main steps in a customer-centric improvement process. So first of all, what do? Well, you need to go and identify the business problems, because the customer journey without KPIs is not worth so much for your business, right? So you need to see, where are we losing customers? Are we experiencing low conversion rates, for instance, or do we have high churn somewhere? See if you can find a business problem that you want to solve. And then, of course, also what customers are affected. Number 2 is to start visualizing the customer journey. In which part of the customer journey do we see this problem? And also, which steps does the customer go through? How do we respond to that? What are the touch points? So here you can start kind of sketching out a rough customer journey. And then, of course, you need to, step number 3, analyze the customer perspective. So in the customer journey that you've created, what does the customer perceive as problematic? Is there any problems that you see that we need to improve? So identify pain points based on the qualitative and quantitative insights. Number 4, after you've done this, now you probably have a bunch of pain points. You need to define areas for improvement. So based on the identified pain points, what do we need to change? And how can we reduce the friction and create more value for the customer? And also based on business needs and business resources, what should we prioritize? And then, of course, number 5, start testing, start measuring, and also implement, of course. So you can start by implementing these changes that you've discovered that you need to do, and you've prioritized them, and then measure the impact on business goals and the customer KPIs that you've defined. Right.
Sabina, I was thinking, one of the issues I often encountered is the silo effect.
Oh, yeah, the silo effect.
Yeah, can you, probably many of you who attend this webinar have experienced this as well, but what would you say, can the customer journey mapping help, or process help in reducing the silos?
Yeah, so happy you asked, because there's another image here I want to show you guys. And I think that's one of the superpowers of the customer journey map that you've created. It's so great at conveying the customer side, this kind of change of focus that that I was talking about before. I think that is one of the biggest sort of superpowers of a customer journey map. It's really good to actually show what is the customer going through, and not what we think, but what we've actually discovered. So you can use a lot of insights and analysis, fill that up in the customer journey map. And when you have that, your journey maps can almost be like an insight library, or your base for, storytelling the customer's journey. So it's super powerful. I've seen it so many times in boardrooms and in meetings where you show the customer journey map, and people would just, they get kind of shocked and just like, oh my God, I had no idea that this is what the customer was going through. Or, oh my God, the things that I'm doing here in my, let's say, silo is actually affecting the customer journey 2 steps away. We need to stop doing this. We can see that now. So it's a very good kind of silo breaker when using the customer journey map, and can be used as a prioritization tool as well. And then, of course, like we were talking about, provide the insights and the prioritizations so that you can actually create better, marketing, CRM and market automation systems. Create communication flows on the basis of what you've found when analyzing the customer journey. That was a long answer to your question.
A really great one.
Yeah. Let's see. So just to kind of sum it all up, for marketers, what are the benefits of working like this then? First of all, you really improve the messaging. If you create a lot of market automation or automated messaging, instead of doing that based on just the touch points, you can actually have a clear blueprint to follow. It's so much easier for you when you see the customer context to actually know what it is that you're supposed to, communicate to the customer. And also more relevant communication, of course, that truly adds value for the customer. You can solve real friction in the customer journey rather than just treating, symptoms. Because when you see the whole thing, you can also, like I said, oh my God, we're doing something back here that really is a problem on somewhere else in the customer journey. It's easier to get internal buy-in, like I said, when it's also backed by real customer insights. And of course, there will be more effective collaboration. When you have this shared understanding of the customer, it's easier to get everyone to kind of move in the same direction. And I would say, finally, this is the way to successfully drive both business results and customer value.
Wonderful. So
I'm gonna give you the control here, Gül, so you can. Yeah.
Excellent. So thank you. Let's look at what technology has to do with everything. Most likely it is an enabler. Let's see if I can click here. There we go. So this is just another version of the customer journey. And technology, of course, can both help you to identify, as Sabina talked about, where you need to act, where you have the issue, or more or less, it's actually the customer who might have the issue to, for example, when they're about to make a purchase, they can't do it because the payment solution is not working properly. So this is where you really need to make sure that you use technology to identify the issues. And also, of course, technology can help you to solve it. Technology can also help you to provide one customer perspective. So if you look on the left side, you have all the different channels that you might encounter or meet your clients or customers. So you have, for example, an app, or it could be online or through an Apple Watch, for example. And then on the other side, to avoid working with the silos, technology can also enable you to work together according to the customer journey. So creating this common platform where you always are aligned in who's talking to the customer, when, and on their terms. And of course, technology is an enabler to collect a lot of data. As we saw, the Walmart is a really great case, but they also spent a lot of time in we call it a marathon, but they spent a lot of time on the heavy part, which is the data collection, the data preparation, the structure of the data, and the visualization before they can even make sure that they understood it and trusted it. So at the end, which is more to the right, the last mile, it's called, that's where you find and work with the value, bringing the value to the table, to the consumer, and to, of course, your business, in order to provide what is needed according to the customer journey.
That seems, can I ask you something there, Gül?
Of course.
That seems very much hard work. And where do you start with all that?
It is. I've been in companies that, as a consultant, really understanding that we couldn't trust the data because they didn't spend the time on creating the true collection of data that you can trust. So we had to actually just start from the beginning, remove all the data sources to start from the beginning, because it was just totally mess. So that's why it's so important to really do your work. And one way of doing that is to kind of map out the customer journey when it comes to technology. So this is just an example. What kind of technology helps you to drive the awareness for the consumer? But you can also add another layer, and that is adding the data layer to it. What kind of data would you like to have? Or what kind of data do you already have? And by doing this, you will also create kind of a gap analysis. What technology do you have? Is it good enough? Or do you need some new one? Do you miss data points? Do you have the system that can provide it or not?
Mm.
So when you work in this manner, you can also create kind of a template when you would like to purchase new systems that enables you to work according to your wishes. But this is kind of the core in knowing what to do.
Got it.
And of course, there's a few challenges. This is from a European MarTech report. And some of you have probably experienced this as well, that there is, unfortunately, lack of time. You have a lot of responsibility on your table. And also a lot of companies have an issue with the competence. Competence internally might not be in your own team or yourself, but it might be that you have to struggle to tell and educate everyone else to understand what you're talking about. So unfortunately, that is the case in many companies. But one way of helping out is to bring top management on board, because they are your main supporter. And yes, we have seen some improvement, but there's still a way to go to getting their trust to drive this agenda. And of course, if you have their trust, they will also give you more budget, because these are quite costly projects, and you need to know exactly what it brings to the table for what they are looking at. And of course, they're looking at the overall business value. And you can definitely prove that if you have the tools. And of course, as we've seen here in the previous slides, there is often a lack of data that will guide you in doing what should be done correctly. We can jump into the next one. What we're also noticing is that a lot of companies are currently struggling because they are challenging their own systems some way, often in a good way, but that means that they are pulling out different systems, they need to replace it, and they need to create systems that can talk to each other in order to not lose time or make it more complex than it is. What we are seeing, this is actually from Scott Brinker, from his report, saying that a lot of companies are replacing MarTech system due to the integration. So system with better APIs to connect with your other system is a priority. And those systems that we are often replacing, it is the marketing automation and the email system, the email distribution tools. So maybe that's a little bit of a hint to you. If you also have an issue, you can use this report saying that you're not alone in this situation.
Good one.
And based on, I think, both Sabina, yours and mine experiences, is there are 7 steps to success when it comes to really creating both excellent customer experiences, driving your brand forward, and also bring the business to the table. So of course, we mentioned it, get management on board. That's top priority, because otherwise the rest will fall. Get organized has to do with the competence, making sure that you have the competence in your team, but also educate the people around you, so you kind of bring everyone together. Connect with the outside world has to do with the data layer. All the data, all the insights that will guide you in creating your vision, strategy, tactics, the customer journey Sabina was talking about, to really know exactly what kind of pain points do you have? What opportunities do you have? Where should we focus our efforts? Because you can be everywhere, but you don't have time. You need to focus. And that will also enable you to invest in the flexible solution. That is the system layer. This is the MarTech solution. Or should you rather focusing on optimizing your website? Or is an app, mobile app, the solution for you? It all differs, but you need to have the first steps to guide you in this. So now it's time to start communicating with your customer, engage with them. And if you have all the data points, you will definitely hit in the right place, for hopefully the consumer's heart, because that's where you're aiming for. And just don't sprinkle the money for advertising campaigns everywhere, because it's not worth it at the end. And of course, really knowing where you should focus and the value, the ROI of your efforts. This is the top layer. And if you do it correctly, you will also prove your value, the ROI, back to the management board. So you get even more trust to do even better things. So that's kind of the full circle of success. Let's dive into a few cases. So this one, for example, it is about we identified is a project where we identified a lot of situations where we blocked the consumer. They found it very hard to log in. And these are very important consumers because they are the one that has an account with you, a profile. We also noticed that they couldn't find the right information. So these are facts based on data collection, different studies, and so on. And of course, this is something you need to update all the time. So one solution for solving the login situation, because you had to log in with your membership number, and I believe it was 12 or 14 digits. And of course, you're not going to remember that. So you need to find a solution that is easy for you to be able to log in, just as an example.
And that's not, you know, ice cream and balloons. That's really basic. Going back to that kind of the image that we showed
Exactly.
before.
We are creating blockers, unnecessary blockers that are hindering both the customer experience and bringing the value to the company. And this is where we definitely see the effect when you put the monetary level on it, where you can see if you, for example, lose 80% in this step where they're trying to log in or make a purchase, what is the actual value, the lost value? That is so important to share. Calculate it first, of course, and then share it to your top management so they know you need to focus on this, because this is core functionality of your business that for some reason a lot of customers are abandoning the card payment. Is it because we have a wrong payment solution, or is it something that is just a blocker? People don't know exactly what they're buying. So do the business case. That is super important.
Amen.
Definitely. And if we look at another case, we can look at Outland, and they are selling comics, they are selling board games, etc. They wanted to create a customer club that wasn't just linked to discounts. Like many companies are unfortunately stuck a little bit in discounts. So they wanted to build the community and loyalty. So this is a target group that is very it's kind of they have a passion. It's in kind of in a positive meaning, nerdy culture. And what we did for them was that the solution was a combination of strategy, technology, and creativity. We used Voyado as the heart of the ecosystem. That enabled us to use the CRM marketing functionality to create personalized information based on your purchase history and so on. Trigger Loyalty is a tool created by Oculus that was used to kind of plug into the cash system in order to handle all the discounts or the coupons or personal offers that we had. And another layer is the creative communication, making sure that we are talking to the customer in their kind of manner that is more emotional. So that was super important. And the last part was tailored offer based on the customer behavior, based on the data. So, for example, if we knew they were reading a lot of manga, they, of course, should receive more information about manga series. And the result was amazing. So they grew up to 160,000 members. So they exceeded all their goals. They have higher average purchase. And they noticed that the member were actually having a higher average purchase than the other. And of course, the loyalty comes with it. So 50% of the turnover comes from the members.
Wow, that's a great case.
Yeah, and it is. And another way of looking at the monetary value, looking at business cases, is not about just creating money or driving the revenue. It's sometimes even where can we save the money? So this is just a very scenario where we noticed that it was a long process with different system and a high license cost. You had manual work. I think it was 30 people working manually to solve the problem. But the problem was actually in the beginning of the customer journey, and it was a bad UX experience. You couldn't, the information, the communication wasn't well enough, good enough to explain how you should act as a consumer. So this is another way of looking at the business value.
Okay. And I will not read all of these different ways to measure things, but let me just say that it's super important to actually, like we said before, you need to have metrics and you need to connect them to what you're doing. I hope that has, come through during this soon to be 45 minutes. You have a variety here, but there's one in particular that I'd like to mention, and that's number 7 actually, which is incremental sales and cost savings. That's a KPI that is used to measure the extra revenue that you can generate from a specific marketing activity or a campaign or an initiative by simply comparing actual sales figures with a scenario where the activity was not carried out. That is something that I think is one of it's just a really good one to, when you want to prove that what you've done has actually created effects and results in terms of obviously money then. And the other ones, it's the usual, really. Let's see if we can jump to the next. Yeah, and it's actually been time for us to tie this whole sack together with 7 ways to succeed with a customer-centric marketing approach. Let me start with the first one. And I'm just going to take away this bar because it's hindering me from seeing what I'm going to, there we go. So number 1 is, of course, try to get as much insights as you can about your customer needs. Get qualitative and quantitative insights to understand what is the customers actually going through, instead of guessing or relying on internal assumptions. And number 2, there.
There you go. So when you work with segmentation, go beyond the traditional demographics and the general personas. They should be based on the data and customer behavior. Of course, you can also add a layer of AI for dynamic personalization, but don't talk about millennials as such, because I've met people that are maybe 75 and they have the behavior of a millennial.
Of a millennial, yeah. And of course, choose the right data to optimize. So make sure you prioritize the right data from the customer journey. Focus on taking the rough edges away and also creating that seamless experience that we've been talking about. All right.
And of course, when you have the right system in place, you can do marketing automation. Do that where it kind of serves a purpose. And so you can focus your time on creating that additionally emotionally communication and experiences on top of it. So save your time for the right things.
Yes. And number 5, use your customer journey mapping to proactively find and solve customer problems. What I was saying before, try and identify and address the root causes of customer problems instead of just putting out fires. Number 6.
And then, as we mentioned before, create business value based on your data. So there might be ideas that pops up that enables you to drive additional revenue. You can also look at other industries for inspiration and create new opportunities in your industry and company.
Yeah. And last but not least, make sure to streamline your coordination between all the departments. Here you can use your customer journey map so that you can work faster and smarter together towards the same goal from the outset instead of in silos. We all want to break down or smash down the silos, right? Great. And that was the 7 final tips. We've got some goodie bag for you guys. We will be sending out a digital goodie bag where you will find a customer journey template that you're free to use. There will be checklists for customer journey mapping and a really good checklist for how you can work with increasing customer loyalty. And I think about 4 or 5 really good cases with examples of problem solutions for most of the common challenges that you have. So we'll be sending those out, so keep an eye on your email. Let's see, we do have one thing left. There is a question and answer. Let's see if we have any questions here.
We have one question, but feel free to add more while we start with the first one.
Yeah.
So the first one is from Katie. How do you define the problem if it is for a new product? And that's a really inspiring journey if you're embarking in creating something new. And that is also going back to the consumer. Points and so on, and gains. And there's, I think, a great tool besides having the customer journey mapping. Strategizer is a company that provides a value proposition canvas that is also linked to a business model canvas. And there you should really work in identifying the pains and gains and jobs being done by the consumer. So that will help you to really figure that out. What is the problem that is your product is solving for the consumer? And I don't know, Sabina, if you would like to answer.
No, I think you're right. I think in that sense, you have a problem in a broader perspective, right? You have, like what you said, the problem is really something big that your customer would like to solve, or a job that your customer would like to be able to do. Can we solve that? So it's not a problem that we can solve in the customer journey as such, because maybe they haven't even started their customer journey with us yet. So no, I think your answer is super. Let's see, there are some other questions here. Based on your experience, how do you know the customer was satisfied? That's a very good question, actually. How do we know that? I think you can use, there are metrics to measure customer satisfaction, of course. There is the customer satisfaction scores, there is the NKI. So there are a set of sort of practice. Well, in the industry there are some metrics that you can use, but also I would say that they're quite useless. Don't hate me now, but they don't make much sense unless you can also prove that you're actually driving, a revenue at the end of the day. So you need to kind of combine those, what some people call vanity metrics, with also hard facts like money.
We also have a question, how to get back a customer if he preferred my competence for a lower price? Exactly. I'm not exactly sure I understand the question.
So I interpret this as, how do you get a customer back if they chose someone else that has the same product or service, but at a lower price? Is that the question, perhaps? That's very specific. I think that's a hard one to answer, to be honest with you, because there are so many there's so many dimensions to that question, really, isn't it?
And I think it's going back again to understanding why are the values or the priorities of this customer. Is it the price, or could you win the customer back if it has to do with a better personal service, for example? So that could also be an answer to that.
Yeah, I just got here from Tears. That's the question, yes. Yeah, so I think we answered the right question.
Wonderful.
That's super. Yeah.
Have another one. Do you use personas as base for your customer journey mapping? If yes, how do you create them and work with them? Oh, this is a Sabina question, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
I can help you as well.
I think personas can be really valuable if they are based on actual behavior and not based on demographics or ideas, like you were saying before, Gül, like this is a millennial, or this is like a 50+ woman, she should be interested in this and this and this. So you need to, of course you need to create custom segments. That's very important. Otherwise you don't know who the customer is that you're actually trying to reach. But be careful with those
stereotypes.
with the maybe I don't know if we can say that, but like traditional or the
Yeah.
sometimes very vague persona types, they don't really help you in your work.
Because as we said, an older person can have the behavior of millennial, and you have the
Yeah,
age difference might be 50 years. So
exactly.
that's why the behavior and everything that we do in today's society is giving tracks in terms of data. That's what you need to kind of identify. What kind of
Yeah,
data are we providing to you as
yeah.
as a company? So that's where you should put a focus in order to really create your persona, really knowing who is it.
Yeah, yeah,
And there might
absolutely.
be several different personas. And this is where it gives the complexity that within your company, you might have, for example, if you work in hospitality, you have different scenarios. You have a business
Mm,
traveler, you have a leisure traveler, and then you start creating the personas within those sections.
mm.
So it can be a very big map. So this is where you need to really have your facts in place.
Yeah, that is so true. I think that was what we had time for, right? The
Yeah.
last question. We're 2 minutes over our time, but it has been so great having you all here. I hope you will enjoyed the moment with us here. And Gil, do you want to say something before we say thank you and goodbye?
Just thank you for everyone attending, and thank you for wonderful and really good questions. And
Yes.
thank you, Sabina, for co-hosting it.
Thank you so much. And we'll hope to see you there. If you have any questions at all, you know where to reach us. Okay.
Wonderful. Take care,
All
everyone.
right. Bye-bye.